Thank you for having me. To speak after Ehud Olmert is a big challenge, and I'll try to do my best. And Ehud Olmert had many shares here in Ramat HaNegev, so it was interesting always to hear from him. I won't repeat some of the things that you already heard from former Prime Minister. I want to reflect a few points that, at least from my perspective, about what's going on. I met yesterday the Chief of Staff, Herzi Halevi. I want to tell you that despite this huge failure that we cannot understand and we cannot accept of what happened October 7th, I have full confidence that there is no anyone else better than Herzi Halevi to do what's need to be done. And I'll explain. I know Herzi for many years, when he was, since he was the commander of the paratrooper division, which I served there, and throughout his different position in the army. I don't think I met in my entire life in the army, and at least for the last 33 years, someone that has such a deep understanding of the historical function or the historical role of Israel, the Israel state today, echoing what we are saying in every prayer, every morning when we sing the tikva about to be Am Chofshi Be'artzenu. And it's a wish of 2,000 years of diaspora. And there is no anyone else better than Herzi to understand the deep connection of the chain of generation that we are now in it. And of course, from army-wise, as Ehud Olmert said, the army is doing very good job while moving forward into Gaza, surrounding the city of Gaza, and doing more things that this is not the place to elaborate. Two of the targets that the government of Israel gave to the army is something that we need to understand. One, about the destruction of the Hamas. I think Ehud Olmert says exactly the truth that it will be hard to create a situation, a reality, that there won't be any threat from Gaza ever. It's not realistic. It can happen, not according to our values, and I will and I'll say why I'm putting it. The second thing, the second target, the goal was to release those that were kidnapped. You have to understand that for Israeli, an average Israeli, the fact that on October 7th, places like Be'eri, Kibbutz Be'eri, probably you all heard about it, you need to understand that Kibbutz Be'eri was settled in the end of Yom Kippur in 46, and it was part of 11 communities that in the end of Yom Kippur in 46, 11 communities were settled in some kind of operation that we as kids, as children, every children in Israel study and learned about this pioneering thing that they did in Yom Kippur 46. Kibbutz Be'eri is an Israeli symbol. Kibbutz Nachal Oz, it's another Israeli symbol. Kibbutz Nachal Oz, it's the first kibbutz in Israel that was settled by young soldiers of one young soldier that from that point on, many more Israelis settled more communities as they were soldier. Nachal Oz is an Israeli symbol. And those symbols that were destroyed that were damaged, that were almost demolished, that were occupied. This is an Israeli, those are Israeli symbols that basically were burned in front of our eyes. And I have to tell you that the kidnaps, it's something that all of us, me as a child, you know, every one of you, probably you saw those movies about the Entebbe operation, and that's what the Israeli people want, Entebbe. Unfortunately, there is a big chance that it will be ending like more of Gilad Shalit. And it will be even worse if it will end as Ron Arad thing. I have to tell you that the kidnaps, the people who was the hostages, if they won't be back into Israel, most of them or all of them, I find it one of the maybe hardest thing compared to destroy the Hamas or to bring the kidnaps back into Israel. I'm not sure what the majority of the people of Israel will say, but I know that in order to maintain and to preserve the Jewish value, Kol Israel Arevim Ze Lazeh, there is no other alternative. And I met so many soldiers that were willing to put their life that in order that someone will come back. And if you try to understand maybe what we didn't know about October 7th, maybe this is exactly the point. Kol Israel Arevim Ze Lazeh. There is a cultural gap between us to the people in Gaza. And I don't know you in person. I know many faces of you, but I don't know everyone. But I'm sure that many of us, the majority of the people here, since we were brought up and raised according to Jewish values and in a democratic countries, we understand and we cherish the value of life. And we believe that if we will do something good for someone, he won't return it by killing us or slaughtered us or butcher us. This is a cultural gap. We were absolutely, and I spoke yesterday with Erzi, and they said that it's not a matter of preparation in terms of they could bring another brigade, they could bring another division. Definitely, they should have been prepared better and act much better when it started. But the basic mistake is a cultural gap of what we are having in our values compared to people that had instructions to kill babies. That's the story. But to make the second chapter of this story about cultural gaps is for you to understand that they did not understood that the Israel spirit is such a spirit that if they thought that judicial reform is taking us apart, now they realize that they put us together again, stronger than ever, because there isn't even single Israeli, maybe one, but 99% of the Israelis, including the Arab population, including the Bedouin population, that understand that this is a war this is a war that we don't have any other alternative, because if the Hamas will do something that they will publicly will be like the win, so the Hezbollah will join, and who knows what will happen in this very tough neighborhood. I started with this just for you to think about how and again, this is something that we every Israeli now needs to do his own search, his own soul searching about what was our very basic assumption of who are we dealing with and what is the outcomes of it. And I think the cultural gap is something that every one of us now understand that maybe, and it really doesn't matter if it was a different person from this prime minister, that there is no doubt that he should resign or take responsibility of this thing. And but again, no one, regardless, even if it was Ehud Olmert, he would do the same mistakes, because it's not, it's a perception. It's how we understand life. This is our glasses on our eyes, and it's reflect our values. Now, with your permission, I'll do a very short presentation of few things that happens here as we speak. I hope that you will see it. We are now talking about 2,000 evacuees here in Ramat HaNegev. I don't know if you see the presentation.
We can see it.
Yeah, okay, because here it's working a little bit slow. We have 2,000 evacuees, and today basically we finished to absorb 400 kids into our school system. It sounds, I don't know how it sounds, 400, but believe me, when you have, it's like growing in 30% in a day or in a week. But we did it with with a whole open heart, and we are, the thing that we're more sorry about, that we cannot accept more than of the fact that it's taking us to the edge of our abilities. About the evacuees, I want to tell you the challenge of what the state of Israel is dealing with is complicated. It's complicated because the variety of communities is big. We're talking about 40 and more communities. Each one of them has a different character, different needs, and different situation or situation back home. There are some communities that they can go back today. There are some communities that won't be able to go back in 2 or 3 years, and all what's in between. And of course, this is about the physical condition of the communities, but we're talking about the mental condition. And that's why many of our efforts, with your supports, with your amazing supports, is giving first aid of mental support to everyone, including myself, everyone that's been there, that saw those things and met those people that they're looking at you. And I think this is the first time I understood something about something. Everyone needs mental help, some emotional support, everyone. After this, people need things like place to wash their laundry. You know, that there are people that left their homes with flippers and shirts, and still the people need a place to wash their laundry, places that they can do some cooking outside, because a Jewish mother, if she doesn't do, a Jewish Israeli mother, if she doesn't do a schnitzel and ptitim, it's like, maybe Tali will know, but those very common Israeli lunch in many houses here in Israel, it doesn't feel like home. So you have to do it. And the fact that people can go into some kind of a dining room, eat together as a community, it gives so much support. And of course, welcome banner in school to tell them that they are more than welcome. And it gets to small things like a hair dryer that you want to put people that can cut their hair, a barber, and on the way you train some people to be to know how to cut hair, and many platforms of meeting the people and sharing their experience of what they had. And again, everyone, even if he wasn't in a community that was attacked, there are some communities that weren't attacked. But even if they weren't attacked, they know a friend, a family member, someone that either he was murdered, kidnapped, or just got killed. And everyone knows we are next door to them, and we know so many. And so I can't imagine how those people from the Eshkol Regional Council feel. more photos from getting pupils into those to the high school, and of course at the same time there are people that actually wanted to volunteer in picking up farming and picking up cherry tomatoes and doing something back to the communities. And again, doing something is, I'm not a psychologist, maybe I need one, but I don't. Doing is much better now than in a being. At least from my perspective, I'm not a specialist. The photo that you see about the farming, about volunteering into the farming, so I know that some of you will come here in a few weeks, and probably this is some of what you will do, just picking up cherry tomatoes, because the fact that at a wartime, Israel is still importing tomatoes from Turkey that support our enemies, it's ridiculous, and it can happen. So tomorrow I will have the Minister of Agriculture here. We're bringing more workers from abroad, from Sri Lanka, from Rwanda, from many places, and also Israelis got back to the original. They started to pick again cherry tomatoes, to go into the fields. We are remembering again what is to be an Israeli farmer. Again, we are a community of farmers, but I'm talking about people from Tel Aviv that I'm not sure that they knew where the cherry tomatoes from the coffee house is coming. Now they know it's connecting them to the rural area, to the periphery, and we see this the Israeli solidarity in rates that there were never been. I want to thank you, and I already said it in many occasions that without you, it wouldn't be the same. And I want to emphasize it because it's important for you to understand why. Probably many of you know bureaucracy is a given, okay? Every system has some kind of a bureaucracy, but things that doesn't work in routine, they will definitely not work in emergency. And Israelis are the best in improvising. We're really the best in it. But, and it's a big but, the systems that trying to work according to what the protocol that was in the routine to give an answers today to the needs of those evacuees or to the communities that absorbing those evacuees, it just doesn't work. You want an example? I'll give you. It started at October 7th, right? Thousands of people just escaped from the homes, or some of them were evacuated by the army, sent to hotels all over the country. Many of the people went to their families, went to bed and breakfast. 1 month after, almost 5 weeks after, the ministry that is taking care of it was changed twice. It was first of all the Interior Ministry, and then it was the Tourism Ministry, and now some other ministry. And they still didn't find the way to pay back to those small bed and breakfast, and I'm talking about hundreds of those all over the country, hundreds of people that hosted those evacuees, and still no one no one found the way to give those people money, payback. Still, we know how to take the Iranian archive, but we still didn't give those people a payback. And without you, it wouldn't happen. We couldn't take care of those evacuees without your support in so many aspects of life, including what I just mentioned. So it's when JNF-USA or ask, I want you to know, and from a first hand, and it's not because I love the people of JNF, I love them in routine and I love them in emergency. But what happened here, it's multiplying Israel's ability to take care of those evacuees, and taking care of those evacuees, it's strengthening our resilience. Strengthening our resilience, it's providing the army to continue to do what they need to do. It's closing a circle of strengthening the backup civilian society that will give the army the ability to do what they need to do. That's why when I'm telling you thank you, I want you to know that it's a big thank you. I can actually shout this thank you through the ocean, but I don't know. I don't think I'll be in the national conference, but when I'll get there, I want to hug each and one of you, every one of you. I just want to hug you and tell you thank you. And the last thing I want to tell you, it's about something about the spirit. Something that happened to us is that we were addicted to the security of Israel in a way that we put fences, we put cameras, and we forgot some basic things. And I just sat last weekend with my parents. They came after a month to see me. They live up in the north, and I live in the in the Negev, as you know. And my father told me that he was a child just before the establishment of the State of Israel. During World War II, my grandfather joined the British Army for 4 years. And my grandfather came back to the kibbutz 2 times in 4 years. Then in 1948, the 2 kibbutzes next to, on the Jordan-Syrian border with a hostile population, they were by themselves, and they were evacuated in 1948 to Haifa for 1 year. They lived 150 people in a high school, in a school in Haifa. It wasn't hotels in the Dead Sea or in Eilat. Not that I think that to be in a hotel, it's even harder. To be in a hotel in Eilat, it's harder than to be maybe in a place like this. But the fact that we already been there. And in Yom Kippur War, when I was a baby, it happened 50 and something years ago, as you know. My mother lived in Carmiel in a very crowded area by Arabs, Israeli Arabs, but it was a war, and it wasn't guaranteed that Israel will survive it. 5 months, my father was recruited to the army. My mother, with 3 boys, small boys, were by ourselves. But we knew all the time that we can protect ourselves. We can be small against many, and we can be. And when we know that it's the right thing and we have to do it, there was no other alternative, and we established this state. This is exactly the time. That's what we're doing now. We're standing back on our feet. I tell it to my communities. No one will protect us. No one will protect us but ourselves. So we gave weapons, and we understand now that it won't be camera, it won't be fences. It will be by the spirit that we can protect ourselves. We can do it in the Egyptian border, in the Jordanian, in Lebanon, in Hezbollah, in Gaza. That's what we can do. That's the right spirit to deal with what's going on. And after we'll finish, I'm going to another meeting, and then I'm starting my night tour between the different communities to see in my eyes what's going on. And ask those soldiers that we have in the gates what they will do after they'll finish their army. More and more soldier tells me, young soldier in their duty service, they tell me, we will go back to Nir Oz, to Nirim, to Be'eri. This is the spirit. That's what we will do. Thank you so much.